over the review problem. That's part of the lobby in Worksheet 4 Escape Room. In this problem, we have a 20 kilogram box that is being pushed across a rough surface. That's the hint that there's going to be friction with a force of 170, so that's the amount of push. The box accelerates, so it's changing velocity, from 0 to 10 meters per second in 2 seconds. Before we start this problem, the second question, which is part of the review lobby, we need to draw a force diagram for the box. For this box, there's going to be a total of 4 forces. Force of gravity acting towards the center of the Earth. Oops. Then there's the normal force from the floor that balances out with that force of gravity. So these two are congruent. And overall, the forces do need to be unbalanced because it's changing velocity. It says so right here, it's speeding up. And so there's going to be more force on one side, and that's going to be the side that the person is pushing because they're making the box speed up. The friction force is going against that push. We also know that the push force is 170. Now we could add it to our force diagram right here. And that's the force diagram. So now to find the acceleration of the box, we will need to use the equation for acceleration as change in velocity over time. Velocity goes from 0 to 10. So we subtract those two numbers and it does it in 2 seconds. So the acceleration is 5 meters per second squared. Input the number 5 in the lobby, in the escape room form, in the Google form, to move on to the escape room. For the last part of this problem, it's asking us to find the amount of friction force. In order to do this, you will need to know the net force, which you can find by multiplying mass and acceleration. The mass is 20 kilograms, and you got the acceleration from the previous part. So multiply those two numbers to find the net force. That's the first part of solving this. The second part is understanding that the net force is going to be the combination of those two forces going side to side. Remember, there was the friction force and the normal force. We're trying to find out what this friction force is. So we would need to use the 170, and we would need to use whatever this number is. The net force is that normal force minus the friction force. So in order to completely solve this problem, find out what the net force is using mass times acceleration. And that's what you're going to subtract from the normal force. Oops. So normal force minus that sum of that net force will give you the friction force. So follow these steps and input your answer into the form in order to get into the escape room. If you need any help, make sure that you're working with each other and asking Mr. Fossman.